We just heard the first 5 verses of the Gospel of John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. This is one of many, many references to shining light into the darkness in the Bible. This includes, of course, the first chapter of Genesis, where on the first day the Creator said, "Let there be light." No other image appears as often in the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, as the contrast between lightness and darkness. We talk about Christianity being the religion of second chances, which is absolutely true. You've heard the image used in many a sermon, including by this preacher. We talk of eventually overcoming grief in terms like every night is followed by the dawn of a new day. St. John of the Cross wrote about the dark night of the soul. This the notion, and I don't mind telling you that it has happened to me, when you enter into a deep crisis, whether emotional or spiritual or both, and in the end emerge stronger and better equipped to deal with life's challenges. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You go out of the deep darkness into the bright light. The image even makes it into our hymnody. One of my favorite hymns is "Precious Lord, Take My Hand." Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I'm weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. I'd like to tell you a story about this darkness and light thing. It is not my story. I read it in a book called "What on Earth Have I Done?" by Robert Fulghum. Robert Fulghum's best-known book is "Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten." You might know it. Fulghum still is writing books. He's a Unitarian Universalist minister who now splits his time between Utah and the Greek island of Crete. Fulghum is known as a quirky kind of a guy. That comes through when you read his books. This is a story from his time in Crete. A little note of history here. During World War II, the Nazis invaded Crete. Locals resisted in every possible way, including stabbing Nazis with kitchen forks. There are horrific stories of entire populations of towns and villages being killed by the Germans. So Robert Fulghum lives near this institute called the Orthodox Academy of Crete. Fulghum enjoys the many seminars offered there. The founder of the academy and the head of it was a very dynamic man by the name of George Papadouros. The main center of the study of the institute is around conflict resolution and peace. At the end of a particularly intense seminar, Papadouros got up and said, "Are there any questions?" And after a period of silence, Fulghum raised his hand. He was called on, and he said, "Dr. Papadouros, what is the meaning of life?" I told you he was a quirky guy. There were a few giggles and chuckles, and people started to get up to leave. Papadouros raised his hand, and he says, "I have an answer for you." People sat back down. He reached into his wallet. He pulled out a small, round mirror about the size of a quarter. He turned the mirror over in his fingers and began talking in a quite reflective voice. This is what he said. "When I was a young child during the war, we were very poor and lived in a remote mountain village. One day on the road, I found broken pieces of a mirror. A Nazi motorcycle had a crash in that place. I tried to find all the pieces of the mirror and put them back together again, but that was not possible. So I kept the largest piece, which is this one. By scratching on a stone, I made it round and smooth and began to play with it as a toy and became fascinated by the fact that I could reflect light into dark places where the sun would never shine. Crete has many caves with surface fissures, and it would shine the light into the caves from the surface. He said it would shine the light into dark closets and behind walls. It became a game for me to get light into the most inaccessible places I could find. I kept that little mirror, and when I went about my growing up, I would take it out in idle moments and continue the challenge of the game. As I became a man, I grew to understand that it was not just child's play, but a metaphor of what I might do with my life. I came to understand that I am not the light or the source of the light, but the light of truth, knowledge, and understanding is there. And the light will only shine in the dark places if I do it. I am a fragment of a mirror, the size and shape of which I will never know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of the world, into the dreary places of the hearts of men and women, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others might see and do likewise. This is what I am about. This is the meaning of my life. Fulgham wrote that the group sat in stunned silence. Fulgham went on to say that he does not remember much from the seminars that he took that summer, but he sure remembers that story and he will never forget it. He also said that he has shared it many times since its power is so palatable. Will the deacons please come forward? In the collection plates, you will find small, round mirrors. Please accept one as a gift from me. I would like you to keep it as a reminder. I hope you find a way to keep it with you. I also will keep mine in my wallet, like Dr. Papadoris. This is a reminder that you are not the source of the light, but you have the opportunity and the privilege to reflect God's light into the darkness of other people's lives. This is what I try to do with my life, reflect the light of Christ to others. It is certainly the meaning of my life. I pray that it will be for you too. Think about it. If each and every one of us leaves here with the goal of reflecting God's light into the darkness of someone's life this week, what we might start. I need not point out that there is plenty of darkness out there, more than enough for all of us to reflect light into. Remember, we are not the source of the light. Back to our gospel quote this morning. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. Amen.